Welcome to Varsity Sports Live. Tom Neiman along with Jason Andera and Jody Norstead hanging out in West Fargo, waiting with the North Dakota stuff coming up in a little bit. How are you?
Nothing I'd rather be doing than hanging out with Tom Neiman and talking high school football. This is the dream right here.
I'm like the substitute teacher. You can get away with whatever you want.
Isn't that crazy? This guy does it for like 7 years with us, and then he comes in and he just fills in for Dave Brown.
Hi, David.
Hi, Dave.
It's getting late in the season, isn't it?
It is. It's getting October time. Usually the weather's a little crisper.
It was
kind of a nice night, though. Kind of a nice night, but it was fun.
North Dakota scoreboard looks like this tonight, and Shanley over number one Davies, 42-35.
So, you know, the number one jinx has been in effect almost all year in AA, and Davies actually won 2 games as the number one team, but now, of course, messes it up again.
Much more from Jody coming up on that one. It was West Fargo Cheyenne, however, the number 2 team, 34-7 over the Packers tonight. West Fargo Cheyenne gets to 6-1 on the season. Also in 11AA, it was Century over Bismarck Legacy, 20-0 tonight. Second win of the season for Century, and Minot over Bismarck, 27-7. 11AA, 11A matchup, Mandan over Dickinson, 41-7. Mandan gets to 6-1 on the year. Bismarck St. Mary's knocks off Fargo South, 10-7. In 11A, again, Valley City is the only unbeaten team in 11A now, 34-6 over Jamestown tonight. And Grand Forks Red River, the Riders all over West Fargo Horace, 49-0. Also in 11A, Fargo North, 45-23 over Devils Lake tonight. Wahpeton gets to 4-3, 41-25 over Grand Forks Central. In 11B, Kindred, number one team, they get to 8-0, 40-6 tonight over Sargent County. And Velva is also 8-0 after a slim 14-12 win tonight over Bishop Ryan. 11B, no report there on the Outlaws and the Lakers. Beulah 7-1 now as they give Dickinson Trinity their first loss. Much more on this one from Jody coming up, 38-35, the final there for the Miners. In 9-man in North Dakota, Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion 44-24 as they get to 8-0 on this season. There are 5 teams now undefeated in 9-man. Mayport CG is 7-1 after their win over Maple River tonight. Cavalier is 8-0. As they beat North Border tonight, 14-8. North Prairie is 8-0 after they roll up 74. That's the big number of the night. They outdid St. John, who put up 70 tonight on West Hope New Glen. And St. John gets to 6-2 with that win tonight. And Divide County is also undefeated at 8-0 after they beat Tioga tonight, 54.
I feel like there's a lot more upsets in North Dakota than there were in South Dakota.
South Dakota was pretty much chalk tonight. Let's take a look at the scoreboard as Sioux Falls Jefferson rolls out in Rapid City 46-0 as the Cavaliers are now 7-0. Harrisburg 59-0 over Rapid City Central, and the Tigers are now 6-1 on the season. Our live game here tonight at Midco Sports, OGorman over Washington 31-14. And Sioux Falls Lincoln will have some highlights of this one. Back and forth as they knock off Brandon Valley 34-30.
They got healthy at receiver, and it showed tonight. They got a lot of different contributions from a lot of different guys.
Yankton and Roosevelt will match up on Saturday. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff in Sioux Falls.
I want to talk about this Pierre game a little bit. Lincoln Keenholz became the all-time leader in passing yards in 11-man history in South Dakota with his night tonight. Jack Merkwan, his top receiver, did not play, rested because of a groin injury, and Jet Zabel was limited with an injury as well. So even though the score looked lopsided, Pierre struggled from time to time in this game.
Tigers had a couple of picks. Keenholz 3 touchdown passes and 1 on the ground in that game, but nonetheless, the Govs get to 7-0, and so does T Area, and they match up next week out in Pierre. T will be at Pierre. The Titans all over Spearfish tonight, 49-0. We'll have some highlights of that one coming up. Aberdeen Central, this game was 6-3 in the fourth quarter, and the Golden Eagles pull away and win it 20-3.
4 straight wins for Aberdeen Central. Watch out.
They are 4-3 overall. In an 11A, 11B matchup, winner keeps on rolling. That's 30 wins in a row now for the Warriors as they knock off West Central. First loss of the year for the Trojans.
We don't see many 1-versus-1 battles ever. I am surprised. I am just flat out surprised that Winter handled West Central the way they did. We'll talk more about that as we get into the highlights.
All right, Beersford on top of Sioux Falls Christian. This went back and forth. Beersford scored with less than 2 minutes left to take the lead and hang on and win that one 20-18 over Sioux Falls Christian. In 11B, Elk Point Jefferson, 48-7 tonight over Tri-Valley. And Elk Point Jefferson is at Bridgewater Emory-Eaton. What about this score tonight as McCook Central Montrose shuts out Bridgewater Emory-Eaton?
Hey, McCook Central Montrose only one loss in the year, same as Bridgewater Emory-Eaton, but now the Seahawks have taken 2 losses in a row. That's really going to affect the seeding in 11B with so many good teams in that class.
Cougars from McCook Central now 6-1 on the season. 9AA Parkston over Bonham tonight, 16-9. Elsewhere, what do we got going on here? Hitchcock Tulare beat DeSmet.
Yeah, Parkston got the 16-9 win there, and yeah, we've got some old boards coming up from last week, I think.
What other score in the big class tonight, Jandy? Watertown beat Mitchell tonight 24-14. Juven Hudson for Watertown, 285 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground for him.
He's just a junior. He leads 11AA in rushing this year. He is definitely a guy to watch going into next year, leading this Watertown Aero team. Big day for him.
One other score we didn't have there, Hitchcock Tulare beat DeSmet 34-12. Hitchcock Tulare is still unbeaten.
Yeah, they are a real threat. We'll have a couple of highlights of them in their win. It was close at halftime against DeSmet, and then they pulled away.
All right, highlights of the night. Jefferson has been the #1 team in 11 AAA all season, and the Cavs unbeaten on the season. We'll get to that one here in a second, as well as Rapid City Central and Harrisburg. Washington, OGorman.
Yeah, let's talk about the game we had on live.
You and Curtis. Washington 3-3 coming into this one. OGorman at 4-2.
A lot of pressure.
Defense early on.
A lot of pressure coming from the Washington D, but they made too many mistakes. This was a punt that was muffed. OGorman recovered, got a 3-point field goal for the first 3 points of the game, and then look at Sullivan Schlingen goes 55 yards on, I guess you'd call it a fumble recovery. It was basically a bad snap, and they went up 10-0 at that point. And then the very next play, Sam Jacobson picks them off, gets a interception, sets them up in the red zone, and then a little center screen to Maverick Jones, and they go up 17-0 at halftime, but it didn't feel like OGorman was dominating, even though they were up 17-0. Elijah Tanaya came back, first drive of the second half, scores a touchdown for Washington, gets them back in the game, but OGorman doesn't let that affect them. They go right to Peyton Hagee, who ended up with a 100-yard receiving night and a touchdown, getting a big one there, and then more pressure on Dannenberg. But look at this. Hagee goes up for the jump ball and finds a way to get it. And this is just how the night was. All the bounces went toward OGorman, and Washington played a heck of a game, but they just couldn't get the breaks to go their way. And OGorman finished it off with a rushing touchdown from Bennett Dannenberg. Elijah Tanaya would tack on another touchdown to make it 31-14. But they wouldn't have enough time to come back and get it done. He had 2 touchdowns and was really the workhorse for Washington tonight. You see 27 rushes in Elijah's first full game back with the Warriors this year. But you got to talk about the pressure that the Warriors put on defensively. Did a great job, but OGorman, even though they had one of their starting linemen out on the day, they found a way to get the win. And we talked to Bennett Dannenberg after the game.
They had a great night. I mean, their offense kept them in it. You know, we started slow, and we could tell that right away. I mean, we had to move some guys around. Our center, Aiden Scott, he was out this week with an ankle injury, and it wasn't just a one-person switch. Basically, everyone on our O-line is playing a new position, and we struggled a little bit with that at the start. But, you know, we figured it out towards the end and just found a way to win.
And that was the key. They had probably their best offensive lineman out on the game, and like he said, it wasn't just a one-person switch for switch. They had to jumble their whole line. They were feeling the pressure all night, but they somehow kept it together. Didn't have their biggest running night, didn't have their biggest passing night, but got the 31-14 win. Bennett
Dannenberg's closing in on 2,000 yards passing, too. He's over 20 touchdowns on the season. He's having a pretty big year.
He's having a really good year, and he's one of the key reasons that you can keep that team together when they're not having their best night and still put up 31 points.
OG gets to 5-2. They play at Rapid City Central, and then they get Harrisburg in the last game of the regular season.
That could be for the 2 seed.
That could be pretty good as well. So OGorman, a win tonight. The game of the night in the big class in South Dakota was Lincoln and Brandon Valley. Lincoln coming off an overtime win against Stevens. And here we go with Tate Schaefer to Edison Knoll, Jandy.
How about that? finding different receiver. That was actually number 7. That was Trenton Peterson who made that touchdown catch to get him going. But Brandon would come right back. Devion Bonwell-Whitty, the freshman, making a big play. They would come back. Lucas Slack would find a way to get into the end zone for the touchdown. And that's Brandon Valley who ties it up at 7. But the aerial attack, coming off a 400-yard game, goes to the guy coming off a 370-yard receiving game, Jack Smith. And it was back and forth all night. There's Dylan Langrock, who's had an unbelievable year. I believe that's 14-13 at that point.
Brandon Valley in the lead, yep. Patriots come right back, though, and they grab the lead. Jack Smith again.
That's Isaac Jarofsky, I believe, that's Jack Smith, excuse me. That's Jack Smith. It was Jarofsky before, number 17, who made that play by the end zone.
All right, Lincoln's in the lead, 20-14, and then Brandon Valley comes back. Langrock again, and Brandon Valley goes in front, 21-20.
He's been so good, and the lead changes in this game were crazy, and Tate Schaefer just had a Tate Schaefer day.
Smith again. Patriots jump back in the lead, 27-24, and then Slack. That is a good-looking ball that he throws there. That's Devion Bonwell-Whitty again.
He is really stepped up in the second half of the season. He's going to be a guy to watch for the next few years. But it was Gabe Gutierrez. When they needed the big yards, they give it to the truck, the G-Train. Takes the lead, and then they hold him off in the last minute of the game. And a huge win on homecoming for Sioux Falls Lincoln. This is a much-needed win. A team that really hasn't had a signature win. They had the overtime win last week, but had the first 2 wins of the year. So this is their first win against, a 500 team at the time.
It's really fun. You can say you're nervous or whatever, but it's really fun. It's really fun to be in those type of games.
I just love competition. Like the team just came together. It was great. Well, we're always taught to come back to the ball if you're covered over top. So I always come back, and usually it's pretty open off the scramble.
Yeah, usually it's pretty open for any time that Jack Smith finds a way to make this happen. And he's coming off of a 4-touchdown performance last week, another 2 this week. But the key was he had some help this week. Trenton Peterson played for the first time in 2 weeks. Isaac Jarofsky coming back off of a concussion. They really got it together this week for a big week.
All right, and Brandon Valley, you said, starting to get healthy as well. That's a tough luck loss for them. But
2 weeks in a row that they've really had a close one that just let slip away.
All right, Lincoln pulls that one out 34-30. Let's go to 11A, Jason. Beersford at 4-2, taking on Sioux Falls Christian at 4-2. And Sioux Falls Christian coming back in this one after being down 14-0. Johnny Skyberg with the touchdown reception there. And that got it close anyway. And then James Woodward with a touchdown grab here. Sioux Falls Christian comes back and takes an 18-14 lead. But one more Beersford touchdown here on the pitch to Peyton Friedrich with about in the last 2 minutes of the ball game there, and Beersford goes to Sioux Falls Christian and wins it 20-18.
Yeah, a back and forth game, and Beersford, really both of these teams needed a quality win in 11A, and they both proved that they can hang tough with some of the best teams in the state, but it's Peyton Friedrich's touchdown and the watchdog defense that showed up in the second half that gets this game done.
All right, let's go back to the big schools. Rapid City Central at Harrisburg tonight. What's up, dudes?
What's up is
Harrisburg taking care of business. Already up 7-0, and Titan Tryon over the middle, and this was the theme of the night, especially early on in the first quarter of this game. As Tryon gets in, it's 14-0 early. A rude tackle here by Jack Dietert, and it causes a fumble. Ball came out there. The Tigers get on it.
With Dietert and Foley up front, this is a very stout defensive line.
Next play, a suplex there by Alex Wells. Nice play for Rapid City Central, but the next play after that one, Dylan Elrod to Aiden Foley, and the Cobblers were not real interested in tackling him. It looks like Travis Kelsey out there, big 87. So it's 21-0, Harrisburg in the lead. Jacob Knuth in the house, taking it in. And then more passing, nice sliding grab here by Cale Morton to get him close. And then Garrett Lensing will take it in for a touchdown. 28-0 Harrisburg by the end of the first quarter. And the Tigers get the clock ticking in the second half. They win it 59-0.
7 different Tigers scored a touchdown in this game, and they kept the injuries to a minimum. Advance to next week. That's what Harrisburg wants.
All right, Tigers get Brookings coming up next week, and Rapid City Central will host Sioux Falls OGorman. Let's take a look at Brookings at Aberdeen Central, Jandy. And again, this was fourth quarter. Aberdeen Central was up 6-3, and then Drew Salfrank goes for a touchdown. Carson Sarda adds another one here, and Aberdeen Central pulls it out with a couple of scores late in the fourth.
Yeah, this is two really good rushing teams, and I think we've underrated Aberdeen Central just a little bit. They got off to an 0-3 start, but they had Pierre and T in their first 2 games of the year, so it's easy to just kind of dismiss them at the beginning. But they've now won 4 in a row, including this win over Brookings. That's a confidence boost for the Central team that did the same thing last year. Slow start, strong finish.
2 scores for Sarda. That should be a good matchup next week with Aberdeen Central at Yankton as the Golden Eagles get to 4-3. Brookings falls to 4-3 as well with a couple of games left in the regular season. Rapid City tonight, Jefferson and Stevens. So here we go with the Cavaliers at 6-0. Jefferson's got the highest scoring offense, lowest scoring defense, and the Cavaliers were held to just 3 points on the first couple of possessions. Taylor Ashley to Evan Haug for 20 yards, and that sets up a Nelson Wright touchdown, and he had a bunch of them tonight.
You know, Nelson Wright had missed most of the last 3 weeks. He played a little bit last week in the 1-versus-2 battle, came out of that game. Good sign for Jefferson when Nelson Wright's running the football, and tonight he had 3 touchdowns. 10-0 Cavaliers after a slow start there. Stevens' next possession, Jensen to Beck Morgan, and that is followed here by a 24-yard run by Luke Hansen, and they get it inside the 10-yard line, but Jefferson holds from there. Stevens misses a field goal, still 10-0. Ashley and the Cavs again. Robert Hutchinson. Nice play as he brings it down inside scoring range, and that's where Wright is going to cash it in.
Second score of the night for Nelson Wright, 16-0. Jefferson starting to get things going.
A little trickery on the extra point.
On the extra point, they get it to Tatum Sanow, and it's 18-0. Stevens.
How about this? The best receiver in the state is also maybe the best corner in the state. Griffin Wilde comes up and makes a huge play on defense. He asked to play starting corner this year, and then he earned his spot. And then he does stuff like this, just crazy.
Zigzagged it all the way back in. It was called back by a penalty, but then they would score anyway. Ashley to Hutchinson in the end zone, 25-0 at halftime, and 46-0 is the final. All right, Spearfish and T-Area, the Titans, a 23-game winning streak in the regular season. Big Griffin Schneider there on senior night, and watch the block at the end of the run here. As T-Area got the ground game going. Maddox Slykow stepped out at about the 9-yard line on that first play. So next play here, though, Chase Van Tol is in for the touchdown, and the scoring had started for T-Area. Titans get it right back. Keegan DeYoung right up the middle of the field, busting it to about the 8-yard line.
I don't think people realize how good this T-Area rushing game is.
Lots of guys. This is a Blake Thompson on the touchdown.
I mean, Thompson and Van Tol, and I mean, just all these guys can get it done.
Played some D, too. Seth Hamilton, Rapid City Central quarterback, trying to get loose here, but taken down by Jessen Wiebinga and his friends. And they had the shutout going, kept it going, and then Slykow here. And Toll dragging over the middle there and powers his way in to make it 21-0. And it was 42-0 at halftime, and T-Area keeps going, and they get to 7-0 with a 49-0 win over Spearfish.
Now, this is a team that's ready for Pierre next week, and Pierre had better be ready for them. This is going to be a heck of a game next Friday night.
All right, Spartans go to Watertown, and you have T area at Pier coming up next week.
I'll take it from here, Tom.
Bonham and Parkston.
Yeah,
Bonham at 5-1, Parkston 6-1.
Landon Barris with the good catch and runs that sets up a field goal. You don't see a ton of field goals in 9-man football, but that's exactly what happened. A 3-0 lead for Bonham, who only has one loss coming into the season, by the way. But this Parkston team, they're built on comebacks. Coulter Kramer with a good run. That set up a touchdown. Clayton Collins would cash in, got the 2-point conversion. They're up 5. It's 8-3, and then they go to the air. Caleb Weber finds his man in the end zone, and they continued with the lead in this one. And then on the kickoff, Bonham tries to make a game. That's Isaac Crownower. He's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. They would get no 2-point conversion, so Bonham up 9-8. But then late in the game, or late in the half actually, I should say, Caleb Weber goes for the long run. They would get the 2-point conversion. They'll go for 2 to try to make it a 7-point lead here. Weber rolls out. He finds, of course, number 56. Who else are you going to look for the 2-point conversion? And they would go up 16-9, and that is how it would stand. Parkston with an important win in 9AA action.
Yeah, 16-9 at halftime. They hang on and win it, and they finished the regular season 7-1. Only loss for Parkston was an 8-6 game as they lost to Hanson about midway through the regular season. But Parkston rolling at 7-1.
This could have been the game of the night, Tom.
All right, a little streaming action here. West Central, number 1 in 11A. Winner, number 1 in 11B. Riley Oral, this is the first play of the game, and he goes 65 yards for a touchdown.
Talk about statements. I mean, that is a statement. We're going to run the ball right down your throat, and they did it with several different running backs.
Aiden Barfus with a touchdown, 16-0 winner. They've been winning by an average margin of 39 points this season. There's a Barfus touchdown.
Like Blake Vollmer maybe snuck that one in, but then West Central, they are the number 1 team in 11A here, Tom. They're going to make a few plays.
Kickoff return for a touchdown here by Jesse Jost, goes 91 yards, but they were down big already at that point, 32-6. And then a pitch again to Aiden Barfus for another touchdown. And they keep that margin rolling, 46-12 tonight as winner. That's 30th straight win as they win at 46-12.
Yeah, this winner team is loaded, and Riley Oral came up with the 100-yard game for him tonight. But look at that, Barfus 76 yards, Keyser 79 yards, no problem. I thought this game would come down to turnovers. We're only 1 turnover, only 1 takeaway for winner, and they still got it done by this margin.
And look who they have next. They're at Mount Vernon Plankinton. They are 7-0.
Third week in a row, they're going to play a team that's undefeated, at least going into the game.
All right, there you go. Winner is 7-0 on the season. 30 straight wins for the Warriors. Little 9B matchup, an undefeated team, Hitchcock-Tulare at 6-0 at DeSmet.
Yeah, this is a team we're probably not paying enough attention to, this Hitchcock-Tulare team, but Carter Binger, he is having a solid year, and they are solidly beating teams left and right. In the first half, this thing was close. 6-6 after this touchdown by DeSmet.
Britt Carlson with a score there for DeSmet, tied it up. And then Riley Flea, big man touchdown. And it was 12-6. Hitchcock-Tulare in the lead at halftime. Yeah,
and Hitchcock-Tulare said, we're going to run the ball down your throat. So they literally ran the ball almost every play in the second half. And that's where they took off and absolutely blew this thing up. Landon Puffer, Carter Binger, and the rest of these guys got it done.
Eric Salmon with that last touchdown run, and Binger with 3 of them on the night. So Hitchcock-Tulare 7-0 on the season. And DeSmet hanging right in there still.
I mean, in 9B right now, you've got Harriet Selby area and Hitchcock-Tulare, the 2 undefeated teams at the top. I think Avon maybe will work their way into that conversation once we get to the Final Four. And DeSmet hopes to be pecking their way into that top 4 as well. But right now, Hitchcock-Tulare and Harriet Selby area, I mean, that could be your dream dome matchup in 9B.
All right, been a while for Hitchcock-Tulare, about 12 years since they have been in the dome, but a powerhouse from 15 years ago, Hitchcock-Tulare. So, all right, when we come back, We will get it up to Jody Norstead in North Dakota with the highlights of the night as they're getting close to playoff time there in 9-man football.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Let's get to Jody Norstead in North Dakota with the highlights of the night up there. Hi, Jody.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Fantastic. Two really good games. I know you're going to get to Fargo Shanley and Fargo Davies for one, and then in 11B, Beulah and Dickinson Trinity.
Boy, that one went right down to the wire, guys. Just two teams slugging it out. The game I was at, Valley City and Jamestown, 1 versus 2. Another one of those games where we're waiting to see, is Valley City finally for real? And they go out and they dominate the defending state champs from Jamestown. So plenty of good highlights coming up for you tonight. Let's start with that 1 versus 4 matchup. Davies taking on Shanley, that 25th Street rivalry game. Two schools separated by just 1.5 miles. Last year, Shanley blew out the Eagles in the season opener, 34-zip. Starting off with a Michael Rosberg touchdown run. The run right up the gut ties it at 7 apiece. The Eagles aren't going to let that tie last very long, though. Mason Clabo with the quarterback power to his right. And watch him run. Clabo cutting back up. And number 1 running all the way in, able to elude some tacklers in the sophomore quarterback with a big touchdown, but the back and forth continues. Rosberg is going to drop back. Boy, how many times have you found him hit number 22 this season? Sam Oshik making play after play after play this season. Dives into the end zone. We're tied at 14 after the first quarter. Plenty of scoring in this one, and Shanley gets a surge in the second half to win it, 42-35. Deacons knock off the number 1 team in the state tonight in the old 25th Street rivalry. They moved to 6-1, and they got a big one at Mandan next week. West Fargo visiting Cheyenne, first meeting in this rivalry since they played for a state title in the Fargo Dome last November. Mustangs won that. They've actually won 6 in a row against the Pack. Good start here too. Race Wilson scores on a 5-yard run, puts Cheyenne up 7-0. They capitalized on a kind of a squib kick that they were able to recover right on the opening kick. And then Max Fowl rumbling here for 36 yards into Mustang territory for the Packers. But a couple plays later, Marcus Johnson going to step in front of this Cole Tiedemann pass, and look out, number 21 makes a move on the quarterback, and Johnson is gone. Reservations for 6. 75 yards to the house. Cheyenne up 14-0 in the first. Tiedemann, though, here looking for his main man, Peyton McGregor. This guy's made so many highlight reel catches. That one wasn't easy either. A nice long gain, but it leads to no points. Caleb Deere is going to fake out everyone here, and then he sprints for a 24-yard touchdown. One of the top rushers in the EDC. Touchdown man as well. He scored a lot of them. 21-zip Mustangs at the half. Didn't get much better for the Packers in the second half. Race Wilson, we know what he does. He scores touchdowns too. 17 yards out. Carter Menz, the future Gopher. Let's show a sack on Varsity Sports Live tonight. Give the man some love. Menz gets a big sack there. West Fargo does get on the board. Brady Medina hooking up with the freshman Ian Starry to make it 34-7. The final. Mustangs are going to win the Ogre. Take a look at this trophy here. We cut it off a little bit too quick, but the trophy was there. The Ogre trophy. It's a beautiful thing. A 34-7 win for the Mustangs. Let's hear from the Cheyenne crew afterwards.
It's a pretty big one here. Crosstown rivals, big atmosphere, big game. You don't want to lose it because then they can talk to you. But we got good players on our team, great players. We're really close, good chemistry. So we just came out physical, intense, all day, all week in practice, and we came out here and got the dub.
Got the dub. Let's go to Bismarck. 5th-ranked Legacy has never beaten Century. 0-7 all-time, but as we know, this year's been a struggle for the Patriots. 1-5 entering the night. Sabres hoping to show no mercy. So much for that. Carl Henry stopped dead in his tracks by Joel Edlin. And then Peyton Arndt busting a big one off. 41 yards for the score. The Patriots are in front 6-0. After the first drive, Legacy's struggles continue here, but they break one for a little bit. Logan Miller breaking a couple of tackles and carries the Pigskin 43 yards, but that drive stalls. And then near the end of the half, how about this play? Cheyenne Barth looking for Ryan Brynjolfsson. Boom! Right into the breadbasket. And then 3 plays later, Barth is going to look for Brynjolfsson again. Watch this play. The toe is going to be down in the back of the end zone. How in the heck does he make that grab? Ryan Brynjolfsson makes it 13-0 Century. Uh-oh, those Patriots are starting to heat up. Take a look at the scoreboard. 20-0 tonight. They beat the number 5 ranked Sabres and get right back into the playoff picture with that win. And then they have another prime opportunity at Davies next week. So don't sleep on Ron Wingebach and the Pats. Minot has played the top 2 teams in the state back-to-back weeks. Both losses, hoping to get back on track tonight against a winless Bismarck squad. 4th play of the game, Quinn Hafner takes a snap, faces pressure, and the pass is picked off by Logan Conklin. Conklin, a big playmaker for the Magi this year. Jaden Sparrow out of the shotgun here, a couple of pump fakes on the run. He's going to fire for Ty Kinchin. Boy, how about that bullet pass right to the camera. Kinchin gets in, 7-0 in the first. Sparrow in the red zone again. This time he's going to hand off to Tyson Ruziska. Rumbles past, I don't know how many tacklers. Take a look at that. Gets in, Kellen Burke, extra point makes it 14-0. And Minot rolls over Bismarck tonight, 27-7, so the Magi get back above 500 at 4-3 on the season. The schedule about to get real tough for number 3 Mandan. Braves have Shanley and Cheyenne to finish the regular season. They're trying not to look past Dickinson tonight, though. So much for that. Mandan wastes no time. Carson Jablonski opening kickoff. We'll see you later. 84 yards to the house. One of the best playmakers in the state, leading receiver last year. Then on the next possession, Braves going to go to the air. Max Carlson has a bunch of weapons. This one's going to go to Try. Frank is senior wide receiver. 31-yard score. Mandan up 14-0. Dickinson had a good drive going, but Steven Zawadney ends it. We don't see the play here, but 3 plays later, Mandan strikes again. Carlson gives it to senior running back Lincoln Wiseman. Oh, Lincoln. He just continues to score touchdowns, rips off a 69-yard run. Nice. Braves lead 20-0. And the Braves go on to roll again. They've been doing this the last 3 weeks, 41-7, but as I said, it's about to get tougher. Shanley and Cheyenne coming up for the Braves. Sneaky big game here. St. Mary's playing down a class against South. Saints clinging to that 8th and final playoff spot in the QRF, so not much margin for error, especially with Century getting a win tonight. Good resume booster for the Bruins, though. If they can win it, Colby Nissen powers in, makes it 7-0 South. Bruins, could they pull the big upset on the road? The following kickoff, Gavin Miller for the Saints finds some space, and look at Gavin go. He needs to make one more move. Get there, Miller scores. It's tied at 7-all after the kick. Let's jump to the final minute or so. Still tied. St. Mary's with a chance to take the lead. A 28-yard field goal is knocked through. 10-7 Saints. South with one more chance here. The Bruins are going to try to clock it, but it's ruled a fumble. The Saints secure it. Are you kidding me? The Saints go marching for a victory tonight, 10-7. And a big one, as we mentioned, with them right on the bubble of the QRF. They get another showdown, big showdown against Legacy next week. Biggest game in Valley City in about 14 years. Highlanders moving up the polls to number 1, looking for their first 7-0 start since 2008. They'd have to get through the defending state champs, second-ranked Jamestown. Jamestown trying to attack down the field, but Aiden Jacobson, Broden Muskie jar the ball loose from Nate Walls. Ethan Miller recovers. It's a nice little recovery. They drive to the red zone, but settle for 3. Bryson Heck boots home the 24-yarder, makes it 3-0 Highlanders. Ensuing possession for Jamestown. First play here, low snap, and that is a disaster. Scott Rohde recovers. Big play by the sophomore as he heads back to the sidelines. A little bit of face time. They had another field goal to make it 6-0. Next offensive play for Jamestown. What is it, Groundhog's Day? Valley City ball again on the 3rd Jamestown turnover. Head coach Bill Nelson trying to figure out what's going on. You like fumbles? Here comes another. This time it finally goes the way of the Blue Jays, though. Ethan Miller trying to fight for extra yards. Comes back to bite him. The big hit. Ball comes loose. Ethan Gall recovers. Jamestown's offense finally strikes for gold. Peyton Hochhalter buys time with his legs. Chucks it to a wide-open Nate Walls for the 30-yard score. Game tied 6-6 early in the second after the blocked extra point. Here comes your old crap moment as a cameraman. Ensuing kickoff, Aiden Jacobson. Great blocking. flies down the sideline, 72 yards. I can say it was an oh crap moment. I was the one shooting it. Valley City back in front, 13-6. Blue Jays trying to keep pace. More tough luck though. Off the deflection, Jacobson strikes again. The kick return wasn't enough. He gets the interception on the tip drill. Clipping penalty brought it back a little bit though. 4 seconds left before halftime. It was a full moon tonight, so you know crazy things are in store. Highliners going for the Hail Mary. Heck heaves it up there, and what the heck. Jamestown tries to knock it down, but Miller, Johnny on the spot. That's why you practice the Hail Marys. What a play, 32 yards. Valley City takes a 20-6 lead into the half. That might be an extra credit nominee. Jacobson might be a game ball nominee. Highliners shut out Jamestown in the second half and win it 34-6. Valley City is him, as the kids say. They're at Central next week to try to go to 8-0. In 11B, second-ranked Trinity hosting Beulah with the Region 4 title on the line. Beulah put up 50 points last week. Trinity put up 51 to beat Hazen on a late game-winning field goal. Jace Kovash here finding Jeremiah Gillick. And Trinity's going to go up 13-7 at that point. Gillick wearing 42. That's the way it is for the Titans. A lot of playmakers for this Titans team, too. Mason Melmer, another name to get familiar with. He has been a top performer week after week. He's had a 300-yard rushing game, puts Beulah up 14-13. Jim Dooley loving his offense. Not so much his defense, and not a lot of people do love their defense when they play Trinity. This is Kovash to Gage Glasser to put Trinity up 19-14 in the second. Beulah returns the favor. Methodical drive, as they always do. Melmer breaks this one off, and all the white and red guys see his knees and elbows as he goes to the end zone. 22-19, Beulah at the break. Then Trinity in the third. Kovash to Ty Dassinger. Again, these are so many different guys scoring touchdowns for the Titans. That is why they're so dangerous. They're up 26-22 going into the fourth. But Beulah, here comes Trace Beauchamp. Oh, where did he go? Houdini snuck out. Beulah goes up 30-26 on this touchdown run. Nice blocking downfield, too. The Titans, as you guessed it, have the answer. Kovash gonna look for Luke Shelby. Luke, can I get one? Look at that, sneaks behind the defense, and he puts Trinity up 33-30. Now 2:13 left in the game, and Beulah's trailing 33-30, but Melmer, oh, Mason Melmer. Here's an angry run if I've ever seen one. Guys falling down, Melmer not falling down until he gets into the end zone. Makes it 38-33. Trinity has one last chance. They're going to go for it on a fourth down here, and they're going to get stopped. Beulah wins it. They end up taking a safety on the last play of the game to seal it, making it 38-35. Mason Melmer with a huge game as the Miners win the region title. 231 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was a back and forth game. Beulah gets the job done, moves to 7-1. Here's Melmer after the game.
Our goal coming into this game was just like we did against Shiloh, right? Wait till the play clock's at 10, slow every drive down, just chunk by chunk, and we know that they're going to get wore out mentally and physically. I don't think there's a team in the state really that can match our style of play and physicality. We just pound it down their throat and wear them down. That's all there is to it.
How about that? Not a team that can keep up with us in the state. A rivalry worth a penny. 10-year anniversary of Bishop Ryan and Belleville playing for the Penny Trophy. Last year, Belleville came into this game with a 6-0 record. Lions pounced on them not once but twice. They beat the Aggies in the playoffs too. That was Trayson Iglehart taking the snap. He's out of there for the score. Larry Sandy decides to go for 2. Ben Shep takes the snap as all day. Preston Kraft improvises. Aggies up 8-0. Third quarter. Lions are knocking on the door here. Jet Lundeen out of the shotgun throws on the run to Drew Zwack. Belleville's lead down to 2. Still trailing. Lundeen sets his feet here. He's going to unwind a deep ball. He's aiming for Tegan Coonrod. And here he goes. Knocked away by the defense. Good play. Almost intercepted by Eric Martin. Well, there it is. Belleville Garrison, along with Drake Animus, wins it 14-12. A little bit of a grinder, but the Aggies remain undefeated this year. They are at Ray Powers Lake next week. And let's take a look at how Ray Powers Lake did. With Belleville winning, Ray Powers Lake needed to beat Delax Burlington to set up a Region 3 championship game next week between the Outlaws and Aggies. But they were without starting QB Tyson Engett. Lakers with a big lead at half. Payson Eastas out of the shotgun. And around to the 6'5 Ryan Olson. He's into the end zone. Eastos back to pass again, rolls out to his right. Wobbly throw. It's going to be picked off by Connor Heldy for the Outlaws. He can't do much with it. Fourth quarter now. Eastos is going to hand it off to Olsen. Wait a minute. The wide receiver throws back to his quarterback. Eastos is pushed out of bounds at the 15. A little bit of trickeration for DLB. Eastos under center now. He's going to flip it to Olsen. Olsen, boy, these two are connecting everywhere. He gets into the end zone, stretches across. How about DLB tonight? 32-0 over Ray Powers Lake. Again, the Outlaws without their playmaking stud, Tyson Inget, but DLB gets it done. To 9-man, top-ranked Lemoore Litchfield Marion trying to finish its second straight undefeated regular season, hosting Wyndmere Lidgerwood. Anthony Hansen back in the fold for the Lobos, scores a touchdown there. Then Andrew Arth coming back with the answer. Arth running down the sidelines. This one was score for score really in the first half. Wyndmere Lidgerwood able to get a little bit more. Tate Mart, complete pass over the middle for the touchdown from Hansen. Hansen spreading the wealth. He's looking for his big man, Colton Ness. Big touchdown grab for Colton. Got a little bit banged up in this game, but here's another touchdown for Ness. Anthony Hansen with 4 total touchdowns in the first half. Levi Kackman had a kickoff return for a touchdown for Wyndmere Lidgerwood late in that first half. It was 30-18 at the break. Lemoore Litchfield Marion wins it 44-24. They are your region champions once again and undefeated in the regular season once again. Region 2 championship up in Mayville tonight. Maple River taking on 4th-ranked Mayport CG. A couple of former teammates with Finley Sharon Hope Page kind of separated last year. This is Skylar Carlson looking for real estate. Patriots go up 8-0. Mayport CG forces a 3-and-out, and then Lanny Koenig, play action, finds Andrew Arsvold for the touchdown. Go up 16-0. Pats are not done in the first quarter. Ethan Bergstrom takes the direct snap. There's no one that's going to stop him. Bergstrom all the way, kind of parting the Red Sea, even though they're the ones wearing the red. 67 yards, Patriots rolling up 24-0. And Mayport CG, your region champions, once again improving to 7-1, 54-22 the victory. Shout out to St. John with a big win tonight. Cavalier gets a big win tonight to win a region championship. You see some of those helmets on display. And then the 2 highlights you just saw. Lemoore Litchfield Marion and Mayport CG. 9-man is done for the regular season playoffs coming up next week. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more zone coverage here on Varsity Sports Live. Hear from some of the coaches around North and South Dakota. That's next.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Time now for Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics.
Welcome back here on Varsity Sports Live as we take a little bit of a recap on the zone coverage for tonight. Beulah with that big 38-35 win, and that Miners team lost some really good seniors off last year's squad. And a lot of people were probably counting them out a little bit. They haven't really showed up too many times in the rankings, and Jim Dooley, his team comes out and beats a really good Trinity team tonight, wins a region title to boot, and afterward he had a few things to say about the positives of kind of being under the radar for a change.
Rankings mean nothing, but it's kind of nice to be ignored because you can throw a chip on your shoulder. And we haven't been able to do that for a few years. You know, we haven't been able to play with that chip. We're always kind of trying to play to you know, sort of diffuse the noise and ignore the noise about all that's being said about us. But now we kind of want to listen because there's no noise about us, and that's been kind of nice. You know, we lost a lot of seniors from last year's team and had to get some young guys or inexperienced guys in, but we kind of felt like we were getting better every week, and you know, we're kind of pleased with where we're at right now.
So Beulah is a region champ. Kindred won tonight, so the Vikings are a region champ as well. Thompson and Bottineau, that's a big game coming up tomorrow, guys, that will have a lot of implications as well. A couple other region winners or playoff teams that punched their ticket to the playoffs tonight. In 9-man, Richland won 22-19 over Hankinson. That gets them in the playoffs. Hatton Northwood is in the playoffs because they beat Enderlin tonight. Mulhall Lansford Sherwood beat Duncy 36-34 to get into the playoffs. Divide County The Maroons over here, you can't see the helmet on there, but 54-8, they win to win the Region 8 championship. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, it was crazy. Cavalier, by the way, guys, tonight won 14-8. They are 129-15 since moving to 9-man in 2011. That is a winning percentage of like 89.7. That is ridiculous what Cavalier's been able to do.
That's close to your winning percentage, Jody.
Yeah, right?
You're killing it.
What about Valley City? Are they for real?
They are for real. And I have my doubts going into the season. I didn't know what we were going to get from this team because, I mean, they've kind of struggled the past couple of years. But they can just hurt you in so many ways. Their defense is suffocating. They just fly to the ball. They are forcing turnovers left and right. The Highliners are for real. They cemented things tonight and really kind of proved some things. And I'm looking at that Fargo North score. Fargo North came up with a win against Devils Lake. They were a little bit shaky early on. I think it was tied 17-17. North kind of has stumbled the last couple weeks, but they won 45-23 tonight. So it's Valley City, and then you have teams like North, Jamestown, Red River's in that mix. Who will we see rising to the top in 11A? Time will tell. But I do have my helmet ready, guys, if you are ready for that part of the show.
Let's go.
You want me to put the helmet on?
Of course we do.
All right, which helmet? I'm going to go with, Divide County, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Divide County.
In the playoffs.
They had a player collapse on the field earlier this year. Oli Svangstu went into cardiac arrest. They win the region championship tonight, and they win it in a rout. Divide County, congratulations on the region championship. Oli, hope you are doing better. I'm not sure if he's back on the field yet or not. I think he was going to try to be. So Divide County's getting the helmet salute tonight. Oh, and it fits nicely, guys.
Yeah, you can get all those on, Jody. I'm really jealous.
It's my slender head. I don't have much up there.
Thanks, Jode.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.
Yep, see ya.
You can't get any of these on, can you?
I've tried.
We're going to talk about a couple of big school games. OGorman beat Washington tonight 34-17.
Yeah, important for them to get back on track, and they were without one of their starting linemen. They had to do a shuffle up front, but Jason Poppinga said maybe we didn't play our best, but we got her done.
We've still got things to work on, and, losing Aiden Scott, our biggest lineman and our best lineman, was really critical for us tonight. And you saw the pressure they brought on us, and, our guys are outsized. So we were outsized, outmanned. I mean, they were really aggressive on defense, and it gave us problems. But, Bennett did a good job of, getting throws when he needed to, standing back in there. And, we ran the ball, not well enough. But we got to improve on that. But we were just good enough to win tonight. And our defense is, really keeping us in games. We're flying around the ball, making plays, and that was really the difference for us.
It's the first time all year OGorman really had trouble moving the ball on the ground, but they got it done with good play overall.
They're always there at the end of the season.
They are.
They want another shot at Jefferson, right?
Oh, yeah, and will they have enough players? That's been the issue. With these injuries piling up for OGorman, that's going to be what holds them back if anything does.
All right, Lincoln and Brandon Valley. Lincoln beat Brandon Valley tonight. You can talk to Jared Fredenberg online, and we will have some final thoughts. Look ahead to Saturday when we come back on Varsity Sports Live.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University.
The defense really made them earn it, and I thought our defense made them earn it tonight. They've been the standard of excellence for a long time here in AAA, and so to play them and have a come from behind win and have those two lead us down the field and get that touchdown late was absolutely huge.
Some good leaders on that Lincoln team, and Fredenberg should be happy getting his first signature win of the year as they go into some really tough games in the next 2 weeks.
Yankton at Sioux Falls Roosevelt could be really good on Saturday.
I'm thinking Yankton's probably the favorite in that game, but yeah, if Yankton plays really well, they might be one of the best teams in the state, really.
That game's at 6 o'clock Saturday at Howard Woodfield, Yankton at Roosevelt. We've got college football on Saturday, USD at South Dakota State in Brookings, pregame show at 1:30, kickoff at 2 o'clock.
Yotes have won 2 in a row.
We shall see.
It's looking good for the Coyotes.
UND at Youngstown as well tomorrow evening here on Midco Sports, and hockey with Holy Cross at UND at 6 o'clock as well. See you next week on Varsity Sports Live.